What's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday, and the DFS, the True DFS hot streak continues with Sheets with a big win last night in the Monster. Let's
Yep,
go.
yep, yep.
So Sheets shipped that one with, I believe, just I'm assuming is because you only play one entry usually with
Yep.
one entry.
Never play more than one in that thing.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, and then let's get into this because
So let's first talk about process again. So we did the live stream last night, and while we were waiting for like projections to update, I continued to keep running my stuff on the other screen, and I didn't really detail what I was doing, but it was the same process I use every single day, and I did go through some of it. I went through the min uniques, I went through whatever, and then I was making this big joke about I really don't even want to know who I have. I don't want to know who I have and the whole thing, and I didn't. I literally had no idea who I had. And then, it was a really weird night because we had projections updating right up until lock. Remember, with all the Portlands and the Orlandos and the whatever. Okay. So I locked everything in. And then remember the way that everything was kind of set up was like a 7:30. Then there was like a big 2-hour break. Okay. So after the first set of games kind of like started to resolve themselves, I guess, I didn't really think much of my lineups. And then I noticed that I had a FanDuel lineup in the Monster, it was projecting, sometimes you can see what it projects for, and it was projecting for an amount that, according to FanDuel, that would have put me in the top 5 or 6. So I'm like, maybe I should take a look at this. And can I tell you something, Bobby? I was so tired last night. It was like, it was like 10, I was almost going to go to sleep like 10:45 or something. And I'm like, let me just kind of just check my live. I just can't go to sleep if I know I'm live, like at all, right? So I'm not that person. I can't like put my stuff, put it away. You know what I mean? So let me just go check. And so I'll show you. I tried to late swap out of it. I didn't try late swap. I put in a late swap, and nothing really changed. So what I had going into the last game, I had Maxey, Davis, and LeBron together. Okay. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, I really want LeBron and Davis together. I know I'm not supposed to do this, okay? But I tried to late swap, using SaberSim 5 different times. It kept giving me the same things. Because remember, you're only so many options. You can play it forward to use that kind of salary with 2 games left anyway, So
right.
I really couldn't do much about it. So I was kind of locked into this. So this was my cross to bear, okay? So it looked like things were kind of going well, and then I noticed that there were these 6 guys, like all with the same lineup, that all had AD, okay, and LeBron. You see AD and LeBron, but they also had a bonus of Bilal Coulibaly, okay, and he was killing it. He had 38 fantasy points going into through his rotation in the third quarter, and when these lineups kind of showed up on the screen, I saw that I was 2.9 points ahead, like of all 6 of these guys. And I had nothing else except we both had LeBron and Davis, but they had Coulibaly. I'm like, all right, there's just no way that he's going to get like 0, like the whole fourth quarter run, right? And then the other thing is that in DraftKings, I had Jokic in my big buy-in over there, and he had like 400 fantasy points. And I'm like, well, I don't know who's live in this with FanDuel, but if he gets his fourth quarter run, like it's all over, he's going to put up 100 or something like that. But I had a weird rooting interest because I had to root for Denver to blow them out to get Jokic out of my life. But then again, if that happened, I was going to get no more Maxey points, okay? Because Maxey was in that Denver game also. So I didn't know exactly what to root for, but fortunately the NBA guys don't care what you're rooting for, right? So the game blew out. So no more Jokic. So I didn't have to worry about looking for Jokic lineups. So I had my 49 points that Maxey had through 3 quarters. So I figured that'd be enough. But then I knew I couldn't possibly really be alive with and hold them off to 2.9 points for Coulibaly for his whole run. And then I also noticed coming up, I also was E. Hafner who was coming up, who had LeBron and AD and Kuzma and Coulibaly and Austin Reeves. Okay, all coming up the ranks. So I had to hold off Kuzma, Coulibaly, and Reeves for a full 6 minutes to get less than 3 points total between the 3 of them, and I did it. Like, nobody scored. Coulibaly was over the fourth quarter. Reeves missed like 2 threes that would have put him over the top. And even with like 2.5 minutes to go, I'm like, we're dead. And then what happened was LeBron got his triple-double. So he came out of the game with up 17. And I think the rest of the team just kind of took that as the sign to pull everybody else out. So Bronny came in, right, for the Lakers.
Right.
And then I still saw Koulibaly hanging out there. But then, and Reeves was hanging out there. Then they all came off. So the last 2 minutes I sat there watching the subs. So I held off the entire United States of America for the fourth quarter, including a 6-way chop, which would have put me down to like 10th.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah, if Koulibaly had like literally 3 points, and he had 38 through 3. So listen, very, very happy. I ran hot. But hey, I'm allowed to run good too, right?
Absolutely,
and remember,
that's awesome.
Remember, nobody runs better than me in these situations. You know what I mean? Like, I never get second, I never get fifth. Like, I always get like first or whatever. But I wanted to make a comment before we get into today, like a basketball thing. So I kind of joked that I said, well, you know, even when I posted the results online, I said, why are these Sims giving me like LeBron and Davis together? They should know better. You know, everybody who's been around basketball knows you're not supposed to play these guys together. And I was like kind of joking about it, but it was funny because I was watching the game. Let me tell you what's really cool about having LeBron and AD in the same lineup, because I watched it. Number one, someone's on the court all the time.
That's true.
Okay? You never until the game's over, right? You never have neither of them on the court. So you're always rooting, and whoever's on the court is always the highest usage guy on the court. You know what I mean? Like, you're never like whatever. So you're always the target. And the second thing is that, again, like, you watch more basketball than I do. Dude, when these guys are together, it's like freaking insane how much they give each other assists. You know, like LeBron with the lobs to AD with the lobs to LeBron. It's like every time one of them scores, it's worth like 6 points. Okay?
Right.
And between the two of them, like, they have like 100% usage on the Lakers. Okay, it's literally an amazing thing. So I'm never gonna worry ever again if, in fact, like the Sims or whatever get me to these two together. I'm totally down with it. So
especially if they're playing Washington, it doesn't hurt either.
That's right. It's like the same as playing the Washington Generals. You know what I mean?
Right. It basically is the Washington Generals these days, but that's why.
So that was obviously very very, very good. That's the second. It's the second 50K in the last like 25 days for me. I had the DraftKings one before the New Year's. I had the FanDuel one. We're keeping up the momentum. And ready to keep after it.
Let's do it. I'm pumped, man. I was so stoked to see that. So
yeah. Do you want to where are you? You want to talk about some of the streams you're doing or anything like that, or
we still haven't set up official times with most of them, but I will certainly do that once I do. But yeah, I'll be doing a few other things, and a couple other interviews from just sort of general
cool.
sports industry people. But a lot going on. Encourage everybody to check out the package. At least try the 1099. Like, it'll give you the ultimate. Has everything that we have the capability of. Like I said, it's a very similar price to SaberSim, and you get all of Sheets' projections, which obviously are on fire, and Goldie's as well, which helped me with especially in the showdown the other night. I really let Goldie's do a lot of his work on that one. So I really encourage that, and you also get all my content, all my exact exposures. All of my, my cores, my bets, my et cetera, all of Roadies, Brandon Cruz, et cetera. So as much as I hate doing little, like, I don't want to say ad reads or whatever.
Dude, let me tell you something. You're entitled. We are entitled to brag just a little bit. Okay. Yeah. So everybody else, listen, every other site every night claims to have won everything. Okay. Right. So we're allowed. We have the leader of the site win $1 million. And the second guy puts that 50K, like pretty, every couple of weeks. We're allowed to brag just a little.
By the way, and you didn't mention that for the 50K, you also the MMA you finished doing
right
on Saturday.
Right.
So things have been pretty hot over here, and hopefully everybody else can join in, and we can everybody else will start winning as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's I guess we jump into this slate. It's hard to a lot of stuff going on. Are you ready to do it? Yeah,
I am. Let me share my screen.
You got it.
Well, I am sharing it already, right? Okay.
Yeah. All right. Do you mind starting off with Phoenix and Brooklyn? I'm just getting my stuff together because
So one thing again, all right. So we're processing, always process. So the first thing I have to do again every single day, I have to make sure to I already registered, so I want to upload my my dummy lineups to SaberSim, so that at least I know it's up there, so that I can, if I run sims, I can make that work. And let's get started. Okay, so Phoenix against Brooklyn. I don't really see too much here. Now again, Brooklyn is always funny with their starters and whatever, but as of right now, doesn't look like I'm getting too much of anything over here. And Phoenix, again, I have some. Actually, I have one guy. It's like incredible value, but a couple of others at like 5 to 6x, and it's not from this game. So I'm not really getting much from Phoenix Brooklyn.
Yeah, I'm not getting much from it either. That will all change if Bradley Beal is out. I will be all over it. Look, you know what? Kevin Durant going back to Brooklyn, I don't even know what kind of revenge you call it, because he kind of held them hostage and tried to do whatever. But it's something. I don't know what it is. Yeah, maybe I'll give a little extra bump to him. He's probably the one I'm the most interested in. He and Booker, you could flip a coin. But overall, this game is, without Beal playing, probably a cross-off. We have to just see who's playing for Brooklyn too, because we don't know on a given night. And one thing I got very right last night, I wasn't able to capitalize, was the D'Angelo Russell, who just went completely nuts.
She did.
He was the one who, and unfortunately everybody goes on him by the end of the day because they had enough guys ruled out. But something that if I did anything today on Brooklyn, it would be probably Noah Clowney, but nothing's probably going to end up. Maybe he ends up in one lineup or something. Nothing serious for me.
You know, one other thing that happened yesterday, by the way, which I guess I was fortunate enough to not be able to take advantage of, is the news that Drummond started. I had all my spots filled. You know what I mean? Like I just couldn't do anything. I mean, I had Jokic and DraftKings in the center position. I had Jokic and who did I have in my center position in FanDuel? I don't remember. Oh, like 8. There was 8. Oh, AD was power forward, right? So I wasn't even able to get to any of it. Did he end up doing well?
I don't think so, but I actually think that it's not like he projected very well either.
Oh, he didn't. Okay.
Because of the minutes have been split-ish with he and Yabusele. Just double checking what happened yesterday, but yeah, I don't remember where he ended up on the list of things. It was also really hard to play him there was other centers that just were.
I had the Cattell Ware, remember, in the center position.
That's right. Yeah, and then he was a little bit less owned. A lot less owned. He was 20% or 18% versus 88% on FanDuel. So that's
he was 35 in the.
He was 35 in the big one.
In the big one, yeah.
Oh, interesting. He was like 18 in the other one, I think, or something like that. But still, it's still less than the 88. But let's see. I just wanted to see what.
And again, and just again, not to harp on one lineup or whatever it is, but just again to illustrate a point that you actually talked about yesterday as well, is that you know, in this 550, you don't need like much. You know, I remember I fought off a 6-way train, and I had a completely unique lineup with, quite honestly, two guys that were less than 20% owned. Jovic was a tough one to come up with, actually. I don't think I ever would have found that like hand building, you know what I mean, honestly. And Maxi's not a guy I don't usually play all that much. So these were the two guys. And remember, it's also just because LeBron and AD were 40% or 60%. I bet that the combination of them was not all that popular. You know, like, because again, everybody knows you're not supposed to play them together. Right? So, but again, so in this contest, you don't need to be that. I mean, I had the 87% owned guy, right? Mm-hmm. So again, in this contest, you don't need to be that crazy.
Yeah, it's any of those smaller field ones. I think you can. I used to have a rule, and it made sense back in the day when you could really barely figure things out and people were way behind. You could play one guy less than 10% because there was a lot of guys under 10% who should have been under 10, who shouldn't have been under 10% owned. But now it's just like everything, like poker. It's everything's a little bit tighter. You're going to want to, especially in basketball, you're going to want to you're going to eat some chalk. I mean, the tournament I won the other day with 108,000 people, that had, I only had one spot where it was less than a sub 10%er, you know?
Yeah.
So it's maybe not as necessary to get so creative as I think that's a mistake I was making. So All right. With that said, I do think the next game is pretty interesting.
Yes.
But I just want to point this out. The Pelicans and Bucks have been postponed. I don't know the reason why. I have some suspicions, but I don't know what's going on. And
Wait, what?
They just got postponed while we got on here.
What do you mean?
So we're gonna have to rerun everything after this because it's hard. They're postponed. It just says they postponed the game, and I will dig into why. It happened at 12:12, so it's only been 6 minutes. I would love to know what the reason.
Is something going on in New Orleans?
I think it might be. I mean, remember the Bucks were the first team in the bubble after George Floyd. The Bucks were the first team to do stuff. There may be some things that are happening. Sorry to say it, in the political world that could have something to do with this.
Oh, you think?
I'm not sure. I'm just throwing it out there as a possible.
Wow, this is so. I gotta check the New Orleans news then, huh?
I'm just wondering what happened.
I just need to check. No, listen. If something's going on, I remember I went to school there.
I know. Let's see. Oh, it's a snowstorm. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. So I was reaching on that. I took a guess because the Bucks side was obviously wrong.
Well, forget the political stuff then. So they're So you're unfortunately we're going to waste another 3 minutes or 4 minutes on the story. So I went to law school down in New Orleans, and in 1990, that was my first year. The criminal law final, my first semester, was going to be the last final before we went home for Christmas, and there was a snowstorm. Okay, and it was the first time it had snowed in New Orleans since the Civil War. And so obviously they're not prepared for this. You know, they're not born for this in New Orleans, right? And they canceled the criminal law final, thank God, because I wasn't prepared for it. Okay, and the night before they closed like the bridges, the roads, the whole city. The whole city was completely shut down for about 1/8 of an inch of snow. Okay, because like they couldn't handle it. Like there was a powdering, and it's so funny. Like you see, like people are walking on the street, like slipping up like Charlie Brown, like on this little like powdering of snow. It's like kind of like so funny. So I'm not surprised actually that any threat of snow or any snow at all in New Orleans, that city is shut down. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, okay, that does make some sense. I was just speculating. I hadn't seen anything about the snowstorm, so I was just like throwing something out there.
Okay, so Detroit, Atlanta is not shut
down. No, Detroit, Atlanta is good to go.
And as usual, I mean, for me, the top 3 plays from this game are big. So I have Duran, who had obviously a very nice game a couple of days ago, and he looks good. Isaiah Stewart still, I mean, he's only 3,100, and if minutes somehow fall his way, you're going to want it. And Okongwu 5,600. Those are my top guys. Then Tobias Harris 5,600. I have to go back to playing him again, maybe. I don't know. Tim Hardaway 4K. Malik Beasley 5,100. Do you have any favorites from this game?
Yeah, I've got as of right now in my first builds, I have 30% Duran. I've got 20% Asar. I think I'd like to get a little. I tend to like to play over on Asar just because I know exactly what the play is. I'm very aware he might be bench down crunch time because he's not a good free throw shooter and et cetera. Not a great shooter, period, but phenomenal athlete. Seems like the kind of game where he should kind of go nuts. Getting to a decent amount of Tobias Harris, 18%, 20% of Cunningham, just because it's a nut matchup. 10% of Beasley, 10% of Hardaway, which that I promise is probably not going to happen by the end of the day. And then on the other side, I like Okongwu. I'll keep going back to Okongwu's sort of taken the reins a little bit and had some huge games lately. Okongwu, I think Trey is a great play. This should be a competitive game, high and tight. And then just little sprinklings of the other guys, of the Bogdanovich and the Krejci and the Hunter. But we still do have Jalen Johnson questionable, so I'm guessing that's going to dictate a lot of what we end up doing. Because if he's out, Trae Young, I think, is probably one of the best spend-ups in the slate. Also, all these other, the Krejci and the Bogdanovich, even Okongwu will look better. So Jalen Johnson is a questionable. I saw that yesterday, so he's trying to come back. And if he plays, as much as I love him, I don't know. I wonder if they would just run him in for his normal minutes. I think they would, but I'd have to try and do a little bit of digging on that one.
Hey, only because you mentioned the word SAR, whatever it was. I'll tell you who's freaking animal. That guy on Washington that the Lakers were playing last night. That big. I think his name is Sar as well.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's the number 2 pick in the draft this year.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah, he's going to be. I mean, he was supposed to be, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's going to be a bust." All this. I actually loved what I've seen from him.
People they're like afraid to go into the rim against him. I mean, he's gonna be one of the block leaders. One of these days after Wemby retires.
Yeah, nobody will ever be the block leader until as long as Wemby's around. But you can come in second.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Minnesota in Dallas. You getting to much here, Sheets?
I didn't, but again, I don't know why I was sweating these games recently. Naz Reid was very active the other day, and he can get active sometimes. Jaden McDaniels was active the other day, but today they don't project all that great. So Gobert is just someone I just don't think we're ever supposed to play. It doesn't matter how cheap he is. It's just like I don't know. So I'm not really getting the. Well, let's see what I'll get to. But as far as projection goes, not really too much from the Minnesota side. Let me see. Dallas. Boy, oh boy, what happened? I don't. It's almost like they're not playing as far as my projections go.
They're like, and everybody's questionable, and it's just kind of weird. Yeah, it's kind of strange.
Yeah, so I guess nothing.
Yeah, it's strange. I'm not getting into more here because. I mean, still like, okay, if people were playing Conley at 70% at 3,400 or whatever, and I understand that there's other value on this slate and every slate is different, but Conley being completely unowned, Nickeil Alexander-Walker being completely unowned at 3,400, Rob Dillingham being completely unowned, who's only got 17 minutes in the last few games, but he's a high activity, high usage. I mean, he put up 24 in the last game. That 3,100, that's pretty good. Not saying he's always going to, but I think he can get to 20. But overall, I think the best plays in this game are actually Edwards on the Minnesota side, and I think that on the Dallas side, just take a shot with Kyrie if you're going to do anything. You don't have to do anything. And the one who plays well against Dallas ever since they almost got him years back and everything, and he's a revenge guy, and I like to play him in revenge matchups. And it's not exactly revenge; it's sort of a funky revenge. But he likes playing there, and he's also been more active offensively, and that would be Julius Randle. But none of it's a priority. It's all just to get different. That's nothing which I kind of like. In the first games, other than Detroit, Atlanta, I don't really think that there's things you have to do on those first set of games.
All right, Cleveland, Houston. I think we have similar injury concerns from the Cleveland side, right? I mean, we have to see whether Karis LeVert's going to be in or not. Let's see, median destination or why we can use that now. Who are the other guys who got ruled out again? There was another guy that Strus maybe got ruled out or something like that.
Mobley and Okoro.
Right. Well, this was kind of weird. I needed Jared Allen the other day, and he never got back in the game. I know that they kind of blew him out later, but he only got like 22 minutes with Mobley out. That was very strange. I don't know if he got hurt or whatever. He just never seemed to get back in the game in the second half. I don't know exactly what happened there.
Yeah, I think that they had the game in control a little bit.
No, they did, but I was just waiting for him to get some kind of run. He just I don't know. He just never seemed to get in there.
I think it was the second end of the back to back, so they gave him the extra rest because of it. That's my guess. But
that makes some sense actually.
And this should be a good game. By the way, Houston is. I don't know how many people realize how good Houston actually is.
Well, is Jabari Smith back yet? No, right?
No.
Okay. So on Houston, let me see what I'm getting here. So Karis LeVert, like right now, give me Karis LeVert playing at 4K, and I'm going to play him. I don't know if he's going to play though. Jared Allen, I would go right back to him. If presuming Mobley's still out, I guess. And then Donovan Mitchell had a tremendous game. I mean, he has like 35 real life points every day. I think nowadays. So him and Garland are still going to be probably okay. Houston, you just keep playing? What's his name again? Nobody seems to project all that well for Houston. But I was going to say that Sengun, not really. Boy, oh boy. Are you supposed to play Amin Thompson 8K? I don't know. What do you like here?
It's rough. So it's rough on Houston side with Tara Eason back, because it does take away from some of Thompson's production. I actually, as of right now, like it's one of those situations with Levert where if he's playing, I might play him in the high buy-ins and probably just fade him entirely elsewhere. I think that I think the projections are higher on him. And look, he's so cheap. It's not going to be wrong if he starts. I'll just point out, though, in these games that he has started without Mobley, it's not like he's produced anything at all. Because we know how it goes. Like when it's Garland and Mitchell out there, they're going to be the ones who are going to be controlling, doing everything, unless Mobley's in there too. But it's not like Levert's going to get that same run. So if you're using Levert, I would be much more interested if Levert comes off the bench this time and doesn't start. That's why I would treat Levert. But otherwise, I get it. He probably finds his way there. But I just think his upside is not quite as high as we think when he's playing with that first team unit. And that's my one concern about him. I love Jared Allen. That's one I'd like to be overweight on. I like both Mobley and Mitchell. I think that, like I mentioned, I always like these, especially the Mitchell in the tight games. So those three I'll rate very well for me, and I'm kind of okay to fade most of the rest of it at the moment. Now, if Levert is out, also we can have a conversation about Niang. Maybe Sam Merrill gets in the mix. It depends on who they start, I guess, but probably would take Levert being out for anybody else to pop for me. Really, it's just the main three: Allen, Garland, and Mitchell. And I'm going to end up with some Levert, but I'm going to try to be under the field, at least in the lottery. And Houston, I don't have anything that shows up as a logical play. If you wanted to play Cam Whitmore, I have no issue with it. But I think if you're going to do anything, it would make more sense just to like play the studs, play the Sengun versus Mitchell or something, or play Van Vliet, But the projections aren't going to like it. But that's the way I would treat it personally.
Okay, so Charlotte, Memphis. I have actually a couple of things to say about this game. First of all, they probably, I've been saying this for like a month or two now. They probably don't have the talent to really contend, but this Memphis team is good.
I think they do have it. I like this team. I'm with you.
They play really different than everybody. Like their offense is just really unlike any offense right now, and it's kind of subtle, but it's really, really tough to deal with. And I'm sure, again, like they just don't exactly have the horses to compete for championships yet, I don't think. But listen, if they keep it going, and then you get like a really healthy Morant into the playoffs, who knows? That's my first comment.
Absolutely.
Second of all, I think that, again, from a game perspective, and again, this is the way we used to play a little bit. I think this could turn into a kind of a fun game of horse between LaMelo and Morant. Again, I don't know how you can make that work, really. Actually, it's so funny. Like, who would have thought that Morant would be like 2,000 less than LaMelo? You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty great. But that's the other thing. But the real thing I want to bring up, and again, we're not going to be in brag mode like our whole lives, but I would just like to say, okay, that I'm sure at this point at 7K, people are going to be like saying, okay, you should probably play some Mark Williams. But Bobby Firestone was on him every single day, like starting here. Okay. Mm-hmm. So 52, 57, 54. And each day you're like, why are they not playing him? Why are they not playing him? Why are they not playing him? And you even said, this price is wrong. He should be at least 7K. Okay. Yeah. And he is, in fact, 7K right now. And I would like to say that he's projecting pretty well for 7K. So we might have to do this again. I'll tell you, the LaMelo at 10-7 really feels dirty, but I think I'm getting a decent amount of it right now. What do you, and why would I not play Morant at 8,400? That would be my next.
Right. Topic. So here's the concern is the blowout, and that's pretty much it. Because otherwise, everything you said, I agree. Like, I think it's a game stack. Like, it feels like an old, like I actually wouldn't have a problem playing LaMelo, Bridges, and Williams, and then running it back with Morant or something. And Nick Smith, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I forgot to say. By the way, that was the value that stands out over everybody else right now in the whole slate is Nick Smith. I have him projected nearly 7x and 40% ownership at 3,200. Why don't you talk about this? I seem to have this recollection of this exact play either working or not working within the last couple of years. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I've experienced some Nick Smith chalk days, and I don't remember how they actually worked out.
Well, so Brandon Miller, he's been, so I honestly think that I don't know what DraftKings is doing with his price. Like Nick Miller with Brandon Miller out, and by the way, even with Brandon Miller in, he was still like getting like 18. He had a 31 game with Brandon Miller in. But look, his 2 games with Brandon Miller out, he's put up 27 and 24. He's 3,200. It's pretty basic. He's going to play, somewhere between 24 and 30 minutes, and he's probably going to 6x. It's hard to me imagine going less than 6x. Maybe unless they do something different with their starting lineup, or I don't know. One pivot off of him is probably his teammate is. Because he's going to end up, by the end of the day, you'll see him in like every lineup, I think. Cody Martin would be the get a little bit different kind of a play. And then you have to worry about the blowout a little bit. But I think he would get a little bit of that blowout run too. But as of right now, I've got Williams in 50% of my lineups. I've got Bridges and LaMelo at 35 and 31. I've got Nick Smith at 57, but I think that could even be higher. And then I've got 10% of the speculative Cody Martin. And the guys are going to get there for Charlotte, even if they get blown out here. And then I'm getting a ton of the Morant. I've got 30% of him. I've got 27% Bane, who I think this is a great matchup. You just think you got to take advantage. And then you get Zach Edey on the other side, who's projecting pretty well, who I actually think is interesting.
Yeah.
Those are my 3 main ones, but I really think that there's a good argument to like, okay, so what I'm gonna my way of approaching it is in the lottery, I'm gonna put 20% of my exposures as a game stack for this game, because if it stays close, you're gonna have, and what's it's a total like 245 or something, 242, 240 and a half. It's just Charlotte doesn't play defense, and Memphis plays the fastest of any team in the NBA. Although the last 10 games, Atlanta's played a little bit faster, but over the season, they are the fastest team in the NBA. The only problem with playing them is they have so many bodies and they play so many guys, Memphis, but like LaRavia is doubtful today, which I know it doesn't sound like much, but it opens up some stuff. Obviously, Marcus Smart, Vince Williams, Cam Spencer have been out. But any extra thing that opens up, I think you will just make me feel even better about this. But yeah, this feels like a really good game stack that I'm not sure that the entire field is gonna be on.
The other thing I would say, I don't know if he's going to start or if he's going to play whatever, but this Wells from Memphis, like, he's a great defender.
Yeah.
And he could be sent to shadow LaMelo, which means either or both. Maybe he gets more minutes, or maybe LaMelo doesn't have the easiest day.
It's possible.
So I don't know. I figured I would.
Yeah, and the only thing with LaMelo is, like, no matter what happens, we know he's going to get the usage. Like,
yes,
he's shooting 30% in games and still putting up 50 fantasy points. It makes you feel kind of like, okay, if I actually happen to shoot the ball well, and even I feel like it depends. It's hard to realize because it's like when the other not Risa Shea, the best wing defender in the NBA for Atlanta. When Atlanta plays a fastest pace, and overall their defense is bad, but they have the best perimeter defender, Dyson Daniels. But I'm not going to stop playing the guys against him because there's so much transition opportunity. There's just so many extra possessions that I think it sort of cancels out the awesome one-on-one defense. That's just my take.
So what I'm doing now, just so you guys see what you're looking at here, is I just reran everything without the Milwaukee game. Like, just again, I didn't technically. You're supposed to like redo all the projections because all the Milwaukee and New Orleans ownership has to go somewhere, But I don't have time to do that. But at least, again, just to have something that, listen, let's say something happens, I get involved in something, and then I forget. At least I have something built. And again, each time you do this, it's more reps.
Yeah,
it's more reps. Okay. So what do we have left? Oh, on DraftKings. So we have a complete shit show. Okay, we have Utah OKC, and already we have this as an 18-point spread. And as usual, just God knows who's playing for Utah. Let me just take a look at this. I thought like there was all kinds of questionable people on Utah. Let me just see exactly who they were here. It actually wasn't quite as bad, but so
they took out, no, but you know what's crazy is like 5 of the guys who were like, playing regular minutes for them are out, but they just throw in the other 5 guys who they've been sitting out because they're tanking. You know what I mean?
So this game obviously has just has a very, very wide amount of blowout risk. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Let me see if I'm even getting to anybody in this game. I'm just scrolling through like right now, and it's not much. I mean, if anything, I'm getting Aaron Wiggins, maybe, and I am getting some Shea, like 20%. I wouldn't expect much of a ceiling, but listen, he can certainly get 60.
Yep. Can I take? This is my one other victory lap that I wanted to take, and it's the Jalen with the Y Williams after the dud game.
Oh, that's right.
said he'll bounce right back with 35. He had 33 that night, 36 the next night, and he's still projected around 30. Now he's 5K and he's still getting ownership. So I was happy to get that one right, But I have way too much. I don't like that I'm getting as much exposure to OKC as I am. I don't think Dort is the right kind of play on this kind of slate. I might go and take a gamble here. They have they have tons of bodies. I think this game blows out like 90% of the time. Not every time, but 90% I think is reasonable. Unless Jalen Williams ends up out, only guys I want to play are like Isaiah Joe or Aaron Wiggins. That's when that's when I can talk myself into because he'll get the blowout run. Something like that. Like I don't want to play the Shea and the Jalen without a Y. I'm good with the Jalen with the Y, but I just don't want to do that because even if they get there, it's just like, oh, great, Shea has got 47 and halfway through the third, and that probably ends up at 55, because they're up by 35. I just think this is a tough one for them to stay out. Sensabaugh is out, by the way, and Collins and Markkanen are in. I don't know. Like I just can't find anything I want to do with Utah anyway.
I'm not going to play Utah, guys.
Yeah, I just feel like this, but I feel like instead of crossing off this game, what I'm going to do is just eliminate. I might actually just X out everybody except for Jalen with the Y Williams and Aaron Wiggins and
Isaiah Joe,
and Isaiah Joe. Yeah, those would be the 3 that I could talk about. I would probably even leave. I wouldn't X him out. Wouldn't X out Kenrich Williams, although I wouldn't like put a percentage to try and get him or anything.
Oh, by the way, again, I just want to listen. This is not just about game log watching and instinct. You're supposed to do your projections and all this stuff. But let's look at this again. So I ran this stuff, and I'm getting 19% Bogdan Bogdanovic, and I'm going to whine again. I'm going to say, has anybody ever made any money on Bogdan Bogdanovic? Let's just take a look at what he's done. Like, the guy can't do anything. Now, I know there's stories, whatever it is, but the guy has gotten – he's eclipsed like 30, for example, never. Actually here, like back in December. He's 2 fantasy points in 15 minutes, 16, 14. Now he is talk about being price enforced though. 3,800 is 3,800, Yeah. But I don't know, man. It's rough scenes playing him right now.
Yeah, and I think Jalen Johnson is going to play. So unless something news comes out that I missed or something, but I would imagine he plays. So makes it even less appealing. And I just want to point out, even with Jalen Johnson out, we got to see him without Jalen Johnson, without DeAndre Hunter. It didn't matter. It really didn't matter. He doesn't have the same role on this team that he used to. He was their secondary playmaker, a lot of the time when Trey was out, and there was a lot of days they played better with him. They won an NBA conference finals game with him as the leading scorer with Trey out. This is not the same role for him anymore. So yeah, maybe could he get there? Sure, he gets hot anytime, but like to play him with any kind of ownership at all, is just wrong. And I don't really care if I'm right or wrong tonight. I just think it's the wrong thing to do. So I'm getting to the most of like Nick Smith is my highest owned, Mark Williams. It's going to be Charlotte and Memphis for me. I'm going to have to hope the game stays close. I think very likely it doesn't. Memphis is really good at beating the hell out of people. They just won by like 65 the other day. But the Charlotte team, with all their guys healthy, or with most of their guys healthy, with Bridges, LaMelo, and Mark Williams available, they're at least more competitive of a team. So that's sort of my main one to focus on. And then the Detroit-Atlanta is my other game that I want to focus on today.
And by the way, we also know something else that's going to happen, by the way, this weekend. That Eric is going to be winning a golf tournament, because Bobby texted me at like 11:15 or something saying, hey, just in case you saw, Will Zalatoris was with Drew. I had literally no idea.
Yeah.
So but I was able to run back and sprint and like just rerun everything. Guaranteed winner.
Let's go.
That's like a lock.
Let's go.
And by the way, he did get 2.5% ownership.
But my other sleeper play withdrew after lock. I didn't. Woodland.
Oh no.
9:17 a.m. or 12:17.
Oh, after
so that was a little bit irritating. But like, there's nothing you can do about those. At least if there's nothing I can do about it, it's not going to bother me too much. Right.
Let me see. So Aberg was 37% owned. Hideki 29, and everybody else is sort of tame. 22. Griffin. We said this right when we saw Griffin at 11%. We're like, no, just not happening.
Not happening.
Oh my God! What about Homa getting Rick Rungood steamed to 20%? 20%. Oh my God! Brutal.
Annoying.
Sanjay just ignored a 17. That's interesting.
Yeah, they went the other way on him more than we thought they would.
Yeah.
They just decided they want to play Oberg. They don't want to deal with Sanjay after last week. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And then even my Bramlett got some love. That's a little surprising.
Let's see. Bridgman. You say Matty Schmidt? Did you have him? He's 3%.
Yeah, I have like 5% of him.
Eric with a C. Cole 5. Huey's 5. Did you play Berger? I don't think I played Berger.
I played a little bit of him, not much.
Oh, and then Nicolas Moeller, he was 11.5. We figured he'd be people would play him a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, Spawn was only 13. I thought he would be like the hipster play. I thought he would be higher for some.
But you were still right. Like Saberson had him at like 6.5% owned. So
okay,
you got that part right. I don't know what they ended up with on him, but that's what he was at yesterday.
Yeah. So we'll see how that all plays out. Now, is this a three day cut again or no?
No, I don't believe so, unless I missed something completely.
2 days.
I think it's just a standard, but I honestly, I'm open to that. I could have missed something there, but I don't think so.
Yeah. So congratulations to me in advance for the golf win,
and congratulations on the already win from last night.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. And yeah. Oh, by the way, congratulations on winning the Millie this Sunday. I forgot to mention that. We have like 2 weeks of that every single day, by the way.
right.
Just in case we forgot.
Right.
And I guess we're good. So it's 7:30 thing. So let's do it. Hey, listen, it worked last night, so let's do 6:30.
Let's do it.
And that'll see you then.
All right, sounds good. Good luck. Good luck, everybody.
All right.